Today we're going to take a look at Cisco Energy Manager and how Cisco Energy Manager can be used to reduce your IT energy costs, to cut those costs dramatically, to be able to help pay for your switch upgrades. Using that energy savings that we talked about on the IT, combining that with your switch upgrade to reduce that cost, and also provide greater value for your IT asset management. Being able to discover all devices in the environment, whether they're Cisco devices or other devices, and understand what those devices are and where they are. Let's drill into the capabilities of Cisco Energy Manager. Cisco Energy Manager allows you to monitor, analyze, and eventually run policies to reduce IT operational energy expenses. So that means we can automatically discover all the devices in your environment, in your organization. Let's take a look at some of those devices. We could actually break it out by campus, by building. We could look at data by device type, and you can see all the different types of data devices that we can pull in automatically. And you'll also see that we are multi-vendor. We are vendor agnostic. It's not just Cisco devices that we're pulling in. We're pulling devices in from Dell and from HP and other vendors as we pull in energy information around those devices. As we drill in to these devices, you could actually see a variety of information that will track on them. We can actually track the utilization of those devices. We could track actually the live power of that. From an asset management properties, you can actually see a variety of properties from each and every device, including operating system vendor types, the components that are in that device. All this information is automatically collected and you have available to you to leverage in either your existing asset management tools or even use this as an asset management component itself. This information is brought in automatically through our patented network discovery capabilities. There's no agents to deploy for any device to get that. All you need to do is configure the Cisco Energy Manager to connect to your existing IT management applications, and from there, Cisco Energy Manager will go out and pull energy data and asset information from each and every device in your environment. Now that we've discovered and understood all your IT assets, we can now bring in policies to reduce your IT energy expenditures. Policies are a way that we could take various aspects of your IT energy load and drill into them and reduce their consumption when they're not used or not needed. We understand the utilization of those devices. We understand the business applications around your environment. You close at 5 or your people are going home at 9. With that information, we can craft policies around to reduce the unnecessary, unneeded energy expense. In this particular example, I am turning devices on at 9 a.m. I'm putting them into a hibernate mode at noon, turning them back on afternoon, and at night at 7 o'clock I'm turning them back off. So this particular policy allows us to manage energy for those devices after hours. In this policy, I have saved already 11.7 megawatt hours of energy in this particular school. As we're using as an example, you could actually see it's saved about $1,100 in energy for this particular building and location, and we are managing up to 650 devices in that particular building. So this is a real-world example of how we're managing energy for you and reducing the actual operational expenditure. Another interesting aspect is we can actually protect devices. So not only can we monitor energy information on it, but we can also put a whitelist or an access rule around certain devices if you don't want them energy enabled, to allow them to be monitored only but not managed. Let's take a look at how to add a new policy. So it's pretty simple to add policies in your environment. I can select the device types that you want. I only want to look at PC.Windows. I want to add an opt-in or opt-out. So I want my employees to be able to opt out to this particular policy. I also only want to run them when the screensaver is active. I can also take a look at applications or files that are open or closed, and you can set limitations on that. And then simply, I want to change the power status. I want to put a time-based pattern and simply say, let's power them on at 7 o'clock and power them off at 7 o'clock. So that is a very, very simple pattern that you can use. I can also put a standby message so that says, hey, I'm about to power manage you. So you can give the user the ability to opt out of that if they want to at that time. That's how simple it is to add a policy to manage energy in your environment. So let's go take a look at some reporting and how you can actually see the value of energy management in your organization. First thing we're going to take a look at, let's drill in to actually see what we're trying to do. We're going to take a look at a report we call the Distributed Office Summary. And there's something interesting about the Distributed Office Summary. Once we monitor all of that data and pull in all those assets automatically, you could start to see a couple of interesting trends. You could start to see that on weekends and after hours, you see burning as much energy as you do during your business. And that is exactly what we're trying to address, is that after-hour energy use. You could actually see here all of the green is energy being consumed, and you want this to be as close to as red as possible after hours and on the weekends. And you see that these devices are currently being used. That is what we're trying to address. If you look at non-business hours, we're actually consuming more energy overall in this particular office in school as we are during business hours. We need to address that. That is our savings opportunity. So how do we do that? Well, we take our policy, and with that policy, we'll drill in to those buildings, and we'll look at the live energy consumption of all of those buildings. We'll take that policy that we just created a few minutes ago, and we'll overlay that on top of that live energy. So now you start to see the red is my policy, and the blue, the delta between the red and the blue, is my opportunity for savings. What does that translate in real-world savings? Well, in this particular example, it translates to $108,000 in savings in my organization, over 1 gigawatt hours of energy saved. This is how we help address not only monitoring your assets, but reducing your IT operational costs and helping to pay for your switch. Because now when I buy that switch and I attach energy management to it, these savings help drive savings for that switch. Leverage this today.